2 garden boxes and a compost bin. So we went to Lowe's and got all of our material. I was gonna try to scrap or use scrap wood, but just didn't have enough. So we ended up just buying the lumber. Let me show you what we got here. So each box, what we're gonna do, we got these 2x6s, and we're gonna, let's see here. They're gonna be stacked. So these are gonna be our sides of the frame. They're gonna be 2 high, and I think we got, yeah, 8 foot long. So they're gonna be 8 foot long. And then for the sides, we're just gonna cut this board, the 8 foot board, in half. So it'll be 8 foot by 4 foot. And then 2 boards high. And then on the insides, what we're gonna do is take a 2x4, and that will be the support that goes in each corner. So there'll be 4, we'll cut these into 4 pieces, and that will be our support in each corner. So that is gonna be our garden boxes. And then kind of the same concept we're doing for the compost bin. We'll have the 2x4s for the 4 posts. And then for the compost bin, we're gonna do, we got 2x6s, and there's gonna be 3 boards on 3 sides. So the 2 side pieces, and then the back of the compost bin will have 3 of these 2x6s, and they're gonna be spaced out. And then what we're gonna do is wrap chicken wire, that way you get airflow through your compost bin. And then in the front of the compost bin, we're gonna make like little slits to drop in. We're just gonna use like cedar fence post. That way you can just drop those in the slits for the front side, and then add them or take them out as you need it. So that is our project today. For your materials, you are going to need not snuff. That is my husband's, but I do not encourage that. You will need a circular saw so you can cut your boards, a screwdriver, a right angle. We got these deck screws that will last longer outdoors, so we went ahead and got the tan, so they just match the wood. That's just for looks purposes. Drill bits, and of course your screwdriver bit, whatever it's called. Tape measure, and your pencil so you can draw straight lines. So those are the materials that you will need to build your garden boxes and compost bin. And water and healthy snacks. One more helpful thing is a rubber mallet. That way you can use that to get your boards flush if you need to kind of squeeze them in there when you're building your frame. Lastly, you'll need a little furry helper. Our choice is a cute little English bulldog. Say hey, Maggie Lou. She's just soaking up the sun today. Okay, so for step 1, we are going to measure our 2x6x8 and just cut those boards in half. So we've got 2 of these. These are going to be our end pieces, and we're just going to cut them into 4 foot boards. So I'm just going to measure those out and cut them in half. These boards are actually a little under 8 foot, so we are going to cut it at 46.5 inches. Safety first. Alright, step 2 is building your frame foundation. So go ahead and get you a bunch of screws ready and your screwdriver. And then you want to make sure whichever, or let me say, if you've got your long boards on the outside of your short boards, make sure you do that on all 4 corners. Have your short boards on the inside of your long boards. And just frame up your box, and then all we're gonna do is tack those in on each corner, and then we can start building up our box. One more little tip, y'all. If you have a helper now is when that comes in handy to help you hold the board straight and together while the other person comes in and screws it. Another tip, go ahead and do your top screw first on all 4 corners, then go back and do your bottom screw, and that'll help make sure your corners are all even and level. All right, next up, you wanna go ahead and put your second board on your side here and then measure how tall it is. That way you can go ahead and cut your 2x4s down to the length you need it. So we know that these aren't exactly, if I can hold it, exactly 6 inches. So we are sitting at, this ground's unlevel, at 11 inches. So we are gonna cut our 2x4s to 11 inches, and that way we can cut 4 of those and put those in the corners for some more support. What I recommend is measure out your first one and then use that one as your template so you can cut the other 3 pieces and know that they're the exact same length. Okay, so we got our 4 2x4s cut, 11 inches each, and those are just gonna go on the inside of each corner, and whoop, we're gonna screw, let's stand up, we're gonna screw each of those in, a couple screws on each end, and then that way those will give it more support on the corners. And then after those are in, we're gonna go back in with the sideboards and build up the second tier of the garden box. Let me add one more little tip for you. Before you tack those corners in, go ahead and put your second 2x6 up there. That way you can get it level, and that way because we're working on uneven ground, so that way when you get ready to screw in your 2x4, you can get it flush with the 2x6 up there at the top. That way you've got nice flush corners. And then that makes it easy too, like we just did this side, but that makes it easy because you're already flush, and then once you have your 2x4s in, then you can just go back and tack in the sides, and then it'll come together really quickly. Well, we had screwed up, but it was an easy fix. We had this board going long way this way, and we had this one going that way. I know it's picky, but we had to fix it, but it was an easy fix, so we just took out the 2 screws, flip-flopped it, so now they're actually going the right direction. Okay, last step, we got all 4 corners up. Now we're just gonna go get all of our sideboards and screw those in to the 2x4 supports, and our first garden box will be finished. My husband had a really good idea. So what we did is we built our base, because we're doing 2 boxes. We built our base of the second box using this base of the first box as our template. So basically what we did is just, you know, cut our boards and lined up our long sides and short sides around the 2x4s, and basically just repeated this step, you know, screwed it in, but on the second part up here, and instead of screwing it into the 2x4s, we just built the base, and then all we had to do was just basically lift it up, and now we have the base of our second box. I don't know if I explained that correctly, but it was a lot easier and gave us that foundation for the second box. All right, last step, we got our long boards and short boards lined up. Now we're just gonna go back in and make a screw on each side, and box will be done. Maggie's making sure our cuts are right and our box is flush and level. Good job, girl. You're a hand. Alright, last step, sanding the edges. Okay, one last step, I promise. We ended up adding some support braces on the long sides. What we did is just cut two 6-inch long 2x4s, two of those for each box, and then just put those in on the long side to help give it some support, because once the soil goes in, it's gonna most likely try to bow those sides out. So that just gives it a little bit of extra support. And here we have it. We are done with our 2 garden boxes, and we have Maggie as our model. Overall, very easy project, and it only took us about 2.5 hours. I'm very happy with it. And I'm gonna, at the end of the video, I'm gonna show all of a summary of all the tools and supplies that we needed, materials that we needed to do the 2 boxes.